Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GDQ Hotfix Transgender Day of Visibility Celebration Showcase. My name is Quacksilver, and we are continuing the now indelibly named Sicko Sunday in just a moment, as we move into sort of a mini Kaizo block, if you could call it that. Before we do, though, I want to let everyone know, on the heels of Birch shouting out many communities and many prior runs of Blueprints, that with Frost Fatales 2026 having finished up at the start of the month, if you have any feedback you would like to give about Fatales events, you can visit gdq.gg/ff survey to submit your feedback. I like the frame Fatales, no bias, some bias, extreme bias, and we'd love to hear from you as viewers about what we can do to improve that for everyone. Now, continuing our Sicko Sunday, fresh out of the damage calculator mines, I am so excited to give the floor to a Pokemon Run and Bun Elite Four showcase by Forgiven.
Hello, everyone. I'm Forgiven. I'm super excited to be here on this Sicko Sunday of ours to show off this Elite Four showcase of Pokemon Run and Bun. For the uninitiated, Pokemon Run and Bun is a hack of Pokemon Emerald that kind of aims to really show the full potential of the Pokemon battle system. For those of you who are familiar, you probably already know some of the shenanigans we're about to get up to. So we can probably get the timer started. I'm going to just start talking about the team a little bit before we get into the Elite Four proper. And then we'll be getting into it. So first off, we have our Dragapult here. Incredible Pokemon, incredibly fast. Speed is so important for kind of planning and stuff like this, as the ability to clear body, which means it can't have any of its stats lowered. Very good Pokemon to have, using it a lot through the Elite Four. Incineroar, if you're familiar with Pokemon VGC at all, this is the greatest VGC Pokemon of all time, and for good reason. Unfortunately, with this hack, they're very particular about the abilities and items that you have access to. So we actually don't have an Incineroar with Intimidate here. That's not accessible here, but even still, incredible Pokemon to have, great moveset. You'll be seeing some shenanigans with this later. Ursaluna is, I would say, by far the most important Pokemon on this team. You're going to see this Pokemon do so much work through the Elite Four. Has the ability Guts, so whenever it has a status affliction, it will increase its damage by 50%, and you're going to see that used many times throughout this Elite Four. Beedrill, this was my choice for showing off why Run and Bun is really cool. In Run and Bun specifically, bug types are actually kind of good. Stuff like Beedrill and Glycopod are actually really incredible Pokemon for the Elite Four for numerous reasons. In this case, this is a Mega Beedrill. Mega Beedrill is kind of a glass cannon, but in this case, that's exactly what we're looking for. And you'll see some fun stuff with that. Togekiss is our fairy type for the Elite Four. It's really useful just to have a fairy type. It's really good typing. Switching on Dragon type moves is pretty useful. And having a flying type to pair with Ursaluna using Earthquake will be, incredibly important for us later. And then lastly, we have our Breloom. Breloom actually isn't going to be used so much in the Elite Four. This is kind of like, she's kind of our cleanup queen that you'll see. If things go wrong, you're going to see her a little bit more, but she's important later on, you'll see. Anyway, let's get right into the Elite Four. So the Elite Four is... What's up?
Good luck.
Thank you. So the Elite Four is split up into 4 battles where you have to choose 2 to do as single battles and 2 to do as double battles. Each of them have different teams, and so the planning for each of them goes wildly differently. So in this case, we are going to be going into Sydney as a... Oops, hit B there. We're going to be going to Sydney as a double battle, and then you'll see the rest of them as we go. Now, to bring up one of the things that I'm utilizing to kind of manipulate the trainer AI in the fight, you'll notice that my Dragapult here has some damage already on it. That is on purpose. One of the big things with Run and Bun and stuff that is quite this difficult is being able to bait certain moves out of the opponent AI. So in this case, Dragapult is pre-damaged a little bit to bait out specifically Knockoff from Incineroar. Knockoff deals more damage to opponents who are holding an item, which Dragapult is. And in this case, Incineroar sees a kill on Dragapult 100% of the time with Knockoff. So what we're going to do here is we're going to be using Phantom Force on Articuno. Articuno is the problem Pokemon of this fight. That's essentially Sydney's win condition. Articuno is going to be using Tailwind here, and we cannot allow that to happen. Tailwind will double the speed of all the Pokemon on their side of the field, and that is unacceptable. Now, I am using Phantom Force, which is a 2-turn move on Articuno. That will knock it out as soon as we get there. And because it's a 2-turn move, the knockoff from the opponent's Incineroar will not hit Dragapult. And then I will be using Fake Out on Articuno to prevent Tailwind this turn. So we're going to do that. And now the important thing to note is I've said that Dragapult's holding an item. Now the specific item that Dragapult is holding is an item called the Ghost Gem, which is a single-use item that boosts the damage of Ghost-type moves. It's why we're able to knock out Articuno this turn. And on top of that, because Dragapult will go first, it will use the item, reducing the power of Incineroar's knockoff. And then on top of that, I'm going to be using Parting Shot with my Incineroar, which will lower the damage output of the opponent's Incineroar and will allow me to switch in my own Pokemon. And so we're going to be using Parting Shot here. Ghost Gem's going to go off. Successfully avoided Tailwind, which is a complete disaster. If that goes off, I lose. And Dragapult will be hit down to about half health. Here I'm going to be switching in Togekiss, and that will be the first half of the setup for my win condition, which you'll see in a moment. So Sydney's going to be sending in Overquill here. The switch in AI is very particular, and it's a big part of the routing for something like this. The opponent will send in a Pokemon based off of what it sees on your side of the field. So if it sees that it can knock out your Pokemon in one turn, if it's faster, all these different things kind of inform the AI and what it wants to do. In this case, I sent in Togekiss, which baits out Overquill. Now, Dragapult here is going to do a little bit of chip damage, but is mainly here to just, feint and then allow Ursaluna to come in and kind of clean everything up. And then the next part of what I need to do here is set up my Tailwind. And then this will allow me to kind of sweep the rest of this. So we're going to deal a little bit of damage. Dragapult's now at a health where it will bait both Incineroar and Overquill to attack it, which is very convenient. Togekiss is holding a Kebia Berry, which reduces a super effective poison type moves, and because of that, it makes it so that Overquill doesn't see a kill on Togekiss with Gunk Shot, which would be disastrous.
Oh, the AI sees your held items in this game?
Oh, the AI sees your held items.
Beautiful. Also worth pointing out now as the first feint that this is not a Nuzlocke showcase. We are.
Oh, yeah.
We're not dropping Dragapult for the rest of the time.
Yeah. To be very clear, if I were to try and do all of this Deathless, it would have at least doubled the amount of time I spent in the calculator mines.
Yeah. Someone in chat saying solving R&B fights takes a whole college degree of game knowledge, and that's true.
And it sure does. And so now, because I have Tailwind set up, I basically win. So now I'm going to be hitting Earthquake, and since Togekiss Flying type, it's not going to hit it. And then I can hit literally anything, it doesn't matter. And that is kind of the main thing for the 2 double battles that we'll be doing here is if I can get Ursaluna and Togekiss out at the same time, it will really give me as much of an advantage as I could possibly have. So now, Sydney's going to send out, I believe, Darkrai and Gyarados. Now, Ursaluna is holding the Choice Band item, which means that it is locked into Earthquake right now. And you might be saying, hey, Gyarados is a flying type. Why would you be locking yourself into Earthquake? Well, Sydney's actually going to hand me the win on a silver platter. This is a Mega Gyarados, and in this game, the AI will always Mega Evolve on the first turn, and Mega Gyarados is Water Dark type, so it loses the flying type and allows it to get hit by Earthquake, which is actually so nice of Sydney to do that for me. So we're going to be hitting Earthquake and Dazzling Gleam. We'll get both of them. Now, just to note, this Elite Four showcase is not entirely riskless. Even in Tailwind, which we are in I believe turn 3 of Tailwind here, Darkrai still outspeeds Ursaluna, and it has Aura Sphere. So technically, if Darkrai crits Ursaluna, we're kind of in a bad spot. But we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that doesn't happen. So
we dodge these crits.
We dodge these crits. I think that's fine. And then there we go. There's our free win. Gyarados will not get a move off. And then let's cross our fingers. It's using Sludge Bomb. And you know what? That's never happened before.
Hey, we got our quota.
I have to say, the amount of times that I have gone through and done this just to kind of weed out all of those, that's surprising, actually. And actually kind of the best case scenario. And now they're going to send out Urshifu. Technically, this Urshifu could use Detect and make my life a little bit harder, but let's just hope it doesn't do that. Yeah, we're good. If Urshifu uses Detect, it does have a Focus Sash, by the way. If Urshifu uses Detect there, then Tailwind goes out, and I have to switch out Ursaluna because that Urshifu will annihilate Ursaluna with close combat. So I hope that gives you a little taste of kind of what we're in for here. We're going to be going into Phoebe now, which is a single battle. I've been talking a lot about like win conditions, and the win condition here is actually incredibly strong for me. The thing that will be the most important thing for me here is that Dragapult can solo most Pokemon on this team. But there's 2 that it can't, and so I need to, be able to deal with that. To be able to get through. Now, I'm going to try my hardest to not accidentally hit a full restore on Ursaluna. Ursaluna needs to keep this burn the entire time, which is why I need to make sure Ursaluna does not faint. I do have access to a Flame Orb, but that is not the item I want to be using. I want to have an item on Ursaluna at all times, and actually I need a berry. And if I had a Flame Orb, it would take a turn to activate. It's like a whole thing. So we're going to put Ursaluna in the lead spot, and we're going to get into Phoebe singles. So Phoebe leads with a Crobat. Crobat is the fastest Pokemon. I believe it's the fastest Pokemon on our team. The only Pokemon that I have that outspeeds it is Dragapult. But like I said, I need Dragapult for later. Luckily for me, this Crobat will always use Super Fang on Ursaluna, which will always deal half damage. And then after the burn, Ursaluna will heal up a little bit. So we're going to be hitting Facade, which will knock out Crobat in 1 turn. There we go. And then this will bait in specifically Hisui and Zoroark. Don't be fooled. It will look like a Gengar. So
suspiciously Gengar-shaped Zoroark.
Exactly. So this Zoroark switched in because it has Grass Knot, which does more damage the higher the weight of the opponent is, and Ursaluna is a heavy ground type. Now, what I can do here is do like our first kind of big pivot of the run. Since it's going to be using Grass Knot, I have essentially a free switch into Beedrill here. It'll do, I think, like 9% damage. Do that. And now, because Beedrill's out, this Zoroark has Flamethrower. And it's going to use Flamethrower because Beedrill is quite a frail Pokemon. But I can U-turn into Incineroar and take just a tiny little bit of damage. So we're going to do that. This will deal quite a lot of damage. This Beedrill, Mega Beedrill is kind of incredible, very fast Pokemon. There is the illusion getting broken. I'm just going to use Flamethrower. Now, Zoroark, technically, there's a few points in the run where things can kind of split off. I have plans for, like, you should see the document I have. It branches off into a lot of different possibilities for what can happen. Technically, the Zoroark could use U-turn here and switch into Lunala, which would be fine. I'm going to be using Knockoff, which would be funny, and I can explain that in a second. But it's probably going to use Shadow Ball here, so I'm just going to hit Knockoff. It is going to U-turn. Okay, so we get to have the funny reality. So basically what happens here is I'm going to use Knockoff. This Lunala is holding a Power Herb. Now, the reason it's holding a Power Herb is that Lunala has a move called Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam is a 2-turn move. On the first turn, it charges up and raises special attack, and on the second turn, it just murders you. And so in this case, Lunala doesn't have the Power Herb anymore, which means it just won't go for it. Usually, if it has a Power Herb and Meteor Beam, it will use it 100% of the time, and Incineroar was kind of our sacrificial lamb for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Knockoff again, and then Lunala should be out of the fight here. And then I believe... What are we switching in? Marshadow? No, Gengar. Oh no, this is the Zoroark. That's fine. To be wow. There's so many fun things that can happen. So the thing is once you get a Pokemon to this low of HP, the possibilities kind of start going out the window, because the enemy switches in based off of if it, like, its speed and if it can knock you out in one turn or not. And if your Pokemon's HP is so low, it kind of is like, there's a couple different Pokemon it could be, and so that's interesting. Incineroar is still just just gonna go this turn, and you know what? That's fine, because Lunala was the last Pokemon we need to worry about for Dragapult. And now we can... and luckily, Hisuian Zoroark was the other Pokemon that we had to worry about for Dragapult, but luckily, because it's so low health, I can just use Sucker Punch, and it's fine. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and say, this isn't Gengar.
If we had to guess...
If you had to guess, I don't... Hey! Yeah, that's not Gengar. But yeah, so at this point, this fight is essentially over. This Marshadow is the only crit that I'm risking this fight, because it has Shadow Sneak, which is a priority move. I'm going to use Phantom Force, and then we should be fine. Yeah, we're fine. And I can honestly just start talking about the next fight.
Monstrous Shadow Sneak.
Oh yeah, it's tough. When you get hit in this Elite Four, you get hit. That's Marshadow. Gengar will be no problem at all. It's going to Mega Evolve. It's going to be all scary and stuff. Who cares? Dragapult will one-shot. I can already kind of just start getting into the next fight, which is Glacia. Glacia I do as a double battle. And Glacia's double team is a Trick Room team. So in Sydney, we had to worry about Tailwind with Articuno, and with Glacia, we have to worry about Trick Room. But in that case, we actually have 3 different Pokemon that know Trick Room that we have to deal with, which makes it kind of a lot more difficult to route around. So really the name of the game for Glacia doubles is avoid Trick Room going up at any cost. Trick Room will reverse the turn order, and that's going to be really bad for my team. I don't like the slowest Pokemon on my team is Ursaluna, and even then, in Trick Room, I don't have anything that will, outspeed, so to speak, any of her Pokemon. So
yeah, Trick Room with a built team is like a VGC staple And it's
Yeah.
always such a good and pleasant time to run into on ladders.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a certified Trick Room hater.
Yeah, this team, I don't actually, I'm surprised I haven't mentioned it this far. This team is evil. Like there's, you'll see exactly how bad this is. I almost just started the fight without the right leads. So we're gonna start off with Ursaluna and Togekiss, which is our kind of dynamic duo from before. We're going to go straight into doubles. Now, Glacier leads with a Magearna and a Crabominable, and the Crabominable has a Focus Sash, so keep that in mind. Magearna is, like, one of the scariest Pokemon in the entire Elite Four. It has the ability Soul Heart, which means anytime any Pokemon on the field faints, it gets a special attack boost. So if you don't deal with this Magearna instantly, it will set up, and you will have such a hard time dealing with it. Now, I don't have to worry about this Magearna specifically. It's planning to use Trick Room, which is a negative priority move. And the other thing that's really nice about this battle is the fact that because they're a Trick Room team and all of their Pokemon are really slow, pretty much all my Pokemon are going to outspeed pretty much all of Glacier's Pokemon, which means I have the advantage outside of Trick Room, and I desperately want to keep that. And so Earthquake is going to one-shot Magearna, and Crabominal, like I mentioned, has a Focus Sash, so we're going to be hitting it with Air Slash to get rid of that Sash. Yeah, if Ursaluna did not one-hit KO Magearna here, this fight, I mean, I might have done this in singles, to be honest, is how tough it is. So Glacier's now going to send in Kyurem and Calyrex Ice. And this is really scary. And this is another one of those like pivot points where things can kind of go one way or another, but we'll see that in a second. Calyrex Ice, or Ice Rider as I might say, which is VGC thing, is one of the scariest Pokemon, and that's the end of the sentence.
Yeah.
This is their second Trick Room on we have to deal with, and it also has one of the strongest Pokemon moves in existence, Glacial Lance, which is a spread ice type move, which if it were to use it here, both my Pokemon would be gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using Facade, gets an extra damage boost because Ursaluna is burned on Calyrex, which has a chance to one-shot, but I'm going to be using Dazzling Gleam just to make sure everything is cleaned up. Now, Kyurem is going to be using Icicle Spear on Togekiss, and Icicle Spear can hit either 2 or 3 times, and so Togekiss may or may not live this turn. That's just a certain level of uncertainty that we're going to have to live with. There is a plan for anything regardless of what happens here. And we got a crit. Okay, sure. I'm not going to complain about that. All right, let's see what we get. 2. That's a crit.
Well,
Do we
crit.
get 3? We get 3. That's fine. I believe that is the main plan that I have. There's so many different timelines of different things that can happen in this fight specifically because of Icicle Spear.
Yeah, I alluded to it in jest in the intro, and then you more seriously in your explanation. But how long did you spend in the calculator mines for this showcase?
Oh Lord, I want to say it was at least like 25 hours.
Yeah,
Of just like sitting in a calculator and like typing stuff up, and like it's, yeah.
Kaizo Pokemon is wild.
So we're going to switch in Incineroar here, which should bait in Porygon 2. Or actually might bait in the Bomb of Snow, which are the only 2 options. Okay, Porygon 2. Okay. So this turn, Porygon 2 is our last Trick Room mon that we have to deal with. Again, Trick Room has negative priority, so as long as we can deal with Porygon 2 before it gets to its turn, we should be fine. Now, the thing is that Kyurem is now targeting Ursaluna with Icicle Spear. And like I had mentioned before, Ursaluna cannot faint, like, period. But shout out to the greatest VGC Pokemon of all time, also known as a Pokemon with Fake Out. So I'm going to be using Facade on Porygon 2. That will always kill. And we're using Fake Out on Kyurem to avoid the Icicle Spear. So that'll avoid that. The other thing to mention, Kyurem is actually the one Pokemon on Glacia's team that will outspeed Ursaluna. It's kind of like her way of trying to kind of counter teams that are faster, because Kyurem is holding an item called Room Service. So when Trick Room goes up, it will lower its speed. And so Kyurem outspeeds Ursaluna both in and out of Trick Room, which is kind of awful. So now Ursaluna is going to have to switch out just because Abomasnow really wants to use Blizzard here. We're going to be switching into Beedrill. Beedrill might live, might not, we'll see. And we're going to Flare Blitz into Abomasnow. The other thing with this fight that was really something that was important to route around is the fact that because Abomasnow has Snow Warning, which sets up Hail, I wanted to make sure Abomasnow comes in as late as possible, because taking that extra hail damage every turn is definitely not good. It makes a lot of ranges a lot harder to kind of route around. So that's Abomasnow.
So it is hail damage and not defense buff in Run and Bun?
It is whatever the Gen 8 mechanic is, which I think... I don't remember if that was a Gen 9 change or not, because I know Gen 9 changed it to Snow.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just have Kyurem left, so we're just gonna hit it.
Oh, Gen 8 might have both, actually. Now
yeah, I know it was still Hail.
I'm losing confidence.
There was definitely a lot of things of like me not remembering when certain changes were made. I had thought that this game was what made Leech Life an 80 base power move, but that was actually, I think, a Gen 7 or Gen 8 change. I just didn't realize that it had been raised to 80 base power, which Leech Life is a good move now, guys. You should actually use it. So that is our third Elite Four member done. And now we have Drake. Drake is the one fight where, like, the Drake doubles is maybe the hardest fight in the game, and that's why I'm not doing it. In Nuzlocke, people very, very rarely use or do Drake doubles because of just how volatile and difficult it is. It's tough. Like, everything I'm going to be saying about Drake's team here is worse in doubles. So we're going to get all set up here. Going to get all of our items on. Again, we're giving Breloom an item. We may or may not see Breloom in here, but she's there, and that's what's important.
It's important for team morale to have a Breloom on your team. Shout outs to Breloom. Gotta be one of my favorite mons for real.
True. Okay. Just double checking all my notes, making sure we're in the right thing. Now, Drake is home of the biggest inconsistency in the entire thing, and we might have to reset to a save a few times. This is the best way I found to get through the fight, is my Dragapult against Drake's lead Dragapult are set up exactly the same. Same nature, same IV, basically the thing is that they have the exact same speed, and so we are in a speed tie right now, and I need to win this speed tie. And so we're gonna be going back to here. we're just gonna do this until we get the speed tie. There is surely another way to go through this, but again, this would have probably taken another few hours. I just want to say,
Dragapult is a nasty Pokemon, it turns out.
Yeah, okay, we got it. So it's like, just kudos to people who Nuzlocke this. This is some of the hardest stuff I've ever seen in Pokemon. So get through the first Dragapult here. I'm going to send in Crawdon. Crawdon is going to be using Lash Out, which gives us a actually pretty good switch into Incineroar here. Incineroar, once again, is going to be a little bit of a sacrificial lamb here. We are here to break Crawdon's Focus Sash. We're going to hit Fake Out as well just to get a little bit more chip damage. Technically, we're going to be using Knockoff. There is a world in which Incineroar lives this Crab Hammer. Oh, nice. That's a crit. I don't think that it's going to happen, but we'll see. And that's okay.
Nah.
Hey,
I keep expecting to see Intimidate proc every time you switch Incineroar.
And you know what?
It's like so hard-coded into my blood.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the trauma. We're going to switch in Beedrill here. And now we're going to see kind of like the full use of trying to manipulate what the AI does. So I'm going to be using U-Turn on Crawdon, which is going to knock it out. Now, when I was talking about like switch in AI, the AI will see exactly the Pokemon that you have in, and then do a bunch of calculations and say, this is the best Pokemon that I have to send in. And so, since I'm using U-Turn on Beedrill, I get to switch out. Now, because it's unfair, I get to switch in and then the AI gets to pick, but you know, that's just how it is. I'm going to be sending in Togekiss, which will allow me to manipulate the AI into sending in Suicune. And like, it's like I don't want Suicune to be out because Suicune's very dangerous, but it is kind of like the best line that we have here. And now that Togekiss is out here, we're actually going to switch back to Beedrill. I just wanted Suicune to be out here because I need this thing to be dealt with expeditiously. Suicune's going to use Calm Mind. This is quite scary, but it should be fine. Beedrill can solo Suicune. I say can because it hasn't always done it, but even if I get a good amount of damage off, we should be fine. Leech Life is such a good move. As long as... I actually don't even think if Suicune crits here that anything happens. And we get the bird. So that's the one bad thing that can happen. That being said, I think we're fine.
Energy for the Beedrill.
Energy
God,
for the...
so brutal.
Yeah. We should... Do we live this? We do. And I think... we definitely... This Suicune's not going to die from this, but...
Crit?
That should be fine.
Nah, not for justice.
Now, I will say this is one of the possibilities that I don't have an exact route for, so we're gonna work around this a little bit. And in fact, just for marathon safety, I will be making a save here. So what I want to... Oh, no, I know what I want to do. So I'm going to be sending in Dragapult. Sucker Punch should finish the Suicune off. Suicune is such a bulky Pokemon, and that's why it's like so scary, including the fact that it has leftovers. But it should be a low enough health that it should be good. And then I believe Drake should be sending in Zygarde. That's right. Okay. And now Zygarde is going to be using Dragon Claw, which is actually very convenient because I have a Togekiss in the back here. So it's going to use Dragon Claw. I will take that any day of the week. Hey, and that's the other possibility, and that's why I gave Togekiss a Cherry Berry. We gotta prepare for everything here. So, what's going to happen is I'm going to use Dazzling Gleam once, and we'll see how much damage it does. The main thing here is Zygarde has the ability Power Construct, which means that after it goes below 50% HP, it's going to transform into its 100% form. It's going to give it like an HP boost. I believe it gets a small stat boost. It's not great to deal with, but it's what we have. And of course, Zygarde has the one ground type move in the entire game that hits flying types, but that's fine. There we go. Oh my god, it's so cool. Now I'm going to use Tailwind.
It is like pretty cool.
It is very cool.
It got me the first time I saw Power Construct Zygarde.
Yeah, so we're going to use Tailwind. This is kind of just a safety measure for later. It may or may not be important. We're going to use Dazzling Gleam one more time. And then I believe Togekiss will be out of here, for lack of a better term. And I believe this is where Breloom shows up. To be completely honest with you here, I am almost fully winging this. I have basic plans on how to do all this stuff, but this is a very specific circumstance. Now, with Tailwind up, I should be able to just hit Seed Bomb. And, ooh, I should live this. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, shout out Effect Spore. Use Mach Punch just to finish it off.
Breloom overperforming. Breloom heard me ragging on Beedrill and was like, I got
exactly. You. Now, unfortunately for Breloom, this is where the road ends.
I pretend I do not see it.
Yeah. Now, the one thing this Breloom can still do that is really Now, the one thing this Breloom can still do that is really important is to actually do a little bit of chip damage to Reshiram here. We're going to Mach Punch. It doesn't matter how much damage we do. It just needs to be a little bit. Because I'm going to send in drag because I'm going to send in Dragapult.
Yep. Friends.
Because I'm going to send in Dragapult.
We are seeing the Fs in chat. Thank you so much to our wonderful back-end tech and production team. We are going to be returning to our Elite Four showcase. Breloom's sacrifice will not be in vain. She will not down the entire stream. We'll be back momentarily. Sounds good. We are going to take a short break here while we give Breloom the rest and respect she properly deserves. We are going to be right back. Thank you for bearing with us, chat. Transgender Day of Visibility celebration will continue momentarily. Hello, everyone, and thank you for bearing with us. Effects for God and the Liars. It happens to the best of us. But I am delighted to say that we are back with the Trans Day of Visibility Showcase, and we are back to Pokemon Run and Bun here in the Drake fight. Forgiven, back to you.
All right, we have beat our demons here, and I'm not sure exactly what showed up on stream before, but we did take out Reshiram with Dragon Darts. So we have one Pokemon left for the Drake fight here, which is Salamence. So this Salamence is a very evil Pokemon. Basically, this is, first of all, it has Intimidate, which won't be relevant for Dragapult here, but this is a Mega Salamence. And Mega Salamence has the ability Aerolate, which means that any normal type moves that it uses will now be flying type. And it has a fully powered return, which is one of the strongest moves that we're going to be seeing throughout the Elite Four here. So luckily for us, the way that the AI sees damage calculations, even though that it always Mega Evolves on turn 1, it doesn't do the calculations as the Mega Evolved Pokemon. It does it as the regular Pokemon. And so it actually, the AI doesn't know that Return is going to be a flying type move, meaning that it's probably going to just use Earthquake, which is fine. We're going to use Dragon Darts, which is not going to one-shot, but that's fine. Since we're faster, we'll just be able to knock it out on the next turn. It's going to use... Yep, we're going to Dragon Darts. And then I believe it should be Earthquake. Yep. And that's A-okay. We're going to Sucker Punch just to finish everything off here. So that is the first 4 fights done. We just have the champion left, and the champion is something else. The way that I had gone about kind of routing this is I kind of went in reverse order, because you kind of have to plan to say, I have a team that beats the champion, and then kind of make it work for the rest of them. So this team was made like specifically to beat Wallace. And you'll see how that works here in a moment after we get all of our healing done. We're going to have a couple more items to put on. This fight, I'm going to be using a couple of type resist berries, which I had mentioned earlier. This is the first time it's actually going to be used instead of just baiting out certain types of moves.
Now, for a team built to counter Wallace, noting a suspicious number of water weaknesses.
Hey, and you'll see. You'll see. What we have here, I'm going to be doing this. There's a couple things that if you're paying attention here, you're going to be like, hey, what are you doing all that for? You'll see. Okay, so we don't.
Yeah, wait, soft sand on Ensign?
Yep, it sure is. And we're going to be actually teaching Earthquake to Incineroar. Now, there's 2 reasons for this. One of them I'll tell you now, one of them we'll get into later. We're going to be teaching Earthquake over Flare Blitz. Now, the Wallace fight is, because Wallace leads with a Primal Kyogre, the entire fight will be in Heavy Rain. Not Rain, Heavy Rain, which is an important distinction here. The... Heavy Rain specifically makes it so that all Fire-type moves don't do anything. Which means that Flare Blitz is basically as useful as Splash. So we are going to put on a couple of berries. Breloom's going to get a berry. Dragapult's going to get a berry. Some of these are incredibly important. Some of them are kind of just for safety. And then that should be fine. And then we will be leading Togekiss. So like I said, the lead for this fight is Primal Kyogre. We are going to be leading Togekiss because we're going to be setting up Tailwind early in the fight. And that'll be important pretty quickly here. So... I mean, of course, Kyogre is a pretty scary Pokemon. It's Primal Kyogre, especially in Heavy Rain, using a move like Origin Pulse is going to absolutely destroy most of my Pokemon. And so we're gonna do our best to not have to deal with that here. So, turn 1, what we're going to be doing, of course, Primal C for the rain. We're gonna be hitting Tailwind. You'll see that in a second. Togekiss does technically have a 6% chance to die here, but don't worry about that. We're fine here. We're gonna do a little bit of shit damage, not really super relevant. We're just going to let Togekiss go right there, 07. And we are going to be switching in Ursaluna. Now, because of Tailwind, Ursaluna is going to be able to outspeed Kyogre and knock it out with Facade. Now, the Pokemon that's coming in next is actually the scariest Pokemon on Wallace's team. It's going to be a Barraskewda. This Barraskewda is evil. This is so evil. This Barraskewda is holding a Choice Band, so it has 50% increased physical damage. It has Swift Swim. This Barraskewda, I think, is like 616 speed. Speed shouldn't be in the 600s. That's absurd. And it has exactly 2 moves. It has Flip Turn and Liquidate. Now, Ursaluna here is holding a Pasho Berry, which is the water resist berry. And so this Barraskewda is going to say, hey, I want to use Liquidation on this thing. But because of the Pasho Berry, Ursaluna is going to be able to live and one-shot with Facade, because the one thing that Barraskewda is not is bulky. Like, this entire fight was routed around this Barraskewda, because if this Barraskewda comes out at the wrong time, it will hit Liquidation and just completely wipe your entire team. So that is so nice to be able to get that out of the way early. Ursaluna is hurt by burn. Now, since this is the last fight, so unfortunate. Ursaluna, you've done so well.
07s for the bear.
Hey, did it as well as they could. And so this Goodra is why we taught Earthquake to Incineroar. There's a very specific interaction with Goodra, because Goodra has the move Curse. Curse is a move that will increase Goodra's defense, and I cannot let that happen. If Goodra uses Curse, it makes this fight a lot harder. It's still possible, but a lot harder to deal with. Now, the thing is that the trainer AI will not use a status move like that if it determines that your Pokemon, like as my Pokemon here, can 2-hit KO their Pokemon. And in this case, Incineroar with Earthquake and Soft Sand exactly 2-hit KOs Goodra and survives one Aqua Tail, and that's all we need. So if you've never seen an Incineroar with Earthquake before, well, here you go. This is like, if Goodra got Curse off, this would have been awful. I had a route before which used Knockoff and other stuff, and it just wasn't as consistent as I wanted it to be. That is 100% consistent as long as I don't get crit.
I was going to say, out of curiosity, how much do things fall apart if that Aqua Tail crits?
We just start the fight over.
Understood.
That is kind of the reality of doing this type of thing is if things go wrong, usually there's not a whole lot you can do to recover. There are certain circumstances in which you can, but not in this case. And in the case that we're in right now, Palkia, there's really not a whole lot we can do. 07 to Incineroar once again. You did great.
Nice that Draco Meteor is the kill move. I don't know how much Palkia's damage matters, but...
it technically does. Palkia Draco Meteor is why I have a Haban Berry on Dragapult. After one of them, it should be fine. I shouldn't have to worry about it. But now, with the berry, it's actually crit safe. So what we're going to do is switch in Beedrill here. Palkia is another Pokemon where... Dragapult can't exactly knock it out in one turn, which is unfortunate. So what we're going to do is going to U-turn Palkia, and it can use either Hydro Pump or Draco Meteor. Beedrill is just so frail that it will die to either of them, and so it'll just pick randomly. It doesn't really matter which one it is in this case, especially after the Draco Meteor attack drop. We're going to U-turn, we're going to go into Dragapult, which now, because of the chip damage, is going to be safe to just hit Dragon Darts and be fine. What do we get here? Hey, and you know what? That's never happened before. I forgot that it had Focus Energy.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird pull. Run and Bun, explain yourself.
I mean, Focus Energy is a scary move if you can't knock it out in the next turn, you know? And in that case, Beedrill was not able to, and so I understand why it did that. It's a bit odd. We're gonna use Dragon Darts here, and then we will be getting into the, I believe, second to last Pokemon, which is Manaphy. Manaphy is surprisingly bulky for a Pokemon like that, and has some of the scariest single turn difference between how scary it is, because Manaphy has the move Tail Glow, which will increase a special attack by 3 stages. That is absurd. It's like you cannot let that happen under any circumstances ever. Luckily for us, it shouldn't ever use it, and Thunder should it should two-shot Manaphy, but I believe Manaphy will knock out Dragapult. Maybe not. Yeah, Dragapult usually takes chip damage, so we're in a slightly different situation than I had planned, but that's totally fine. We're gonna Thunder again, which luckily for the rain is 100% accurate. And then we're gonna get the last Pokemon on Wallace's team, which is Swampert. This Swampert is also pretty scary. It's a Mega Swampert, which when it Mega Evolves, it will have Swift Swim. And so I believe it actually still outspeeds Dragapult. We're going to just Sucker Punch it and take the sack on Dragapult. Because I believe, actually, it might use a random move because Dragapult's health is so low. If the AI sees a kill with multiple moves, it'll just choose one randomly, which makes things a bit more inconsistent, but
is, I know, a point of extreme frustration and fear for Nuzlockers.
Oh, 100%. And that's why you try and just route around it most of the time, but sometimes it's more difficult. Now, this is Breloom's moment. This is why Breloom's on the team, to be completely honest with you. Breloom's the only Pokemon on my team that can deal with Swampert entirely. Now, you'll notice that I put a Yachi Berry on Breloom, which is the Ice Resist Berry. Swampert had used Ice Punch before, and Breloom can live an Ice Punch, but there's two things. One, without the berry, Ice Punch crit does kill, and there is a risk of freezing. And that is kind of not a risk I want to take here. And putting the berry on makes it so that Liquidation is actually a higher damaging move, which means it will always go for Liquidation, which even on crit never kills. And Seed Bomb, 100% of the time, does enough damage. And so this is Breloom's moment to finish off the entire thing, and the Effect Spore, my absolute GOAT.
She's an overachiever, folks.
And that is the entire Elite Four. I hope I was able to really show you how difficult this is. If you really like Pokemon battles, you should try this. It's actually a really fun game. Just play it casually. Takes a while. I do want to shout out my good friend Sapphire and Pink, who we played through this game together last year over the course of several months, and it's some of the most fun I've had with Pokemon. And like, you know, without them, I wouldn't be doing this run here. So yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitch, I'm at Forgiven with 2 underscores on Twitch or on Blue Sky Frogvent. And I guess lastly, I just want to say thank you for having me on. This is so awesome. It means so much to me to be able to participate in an event like this. Being trans right now is frankly quite scary, and the administration is trying to make our lives worse in a number of ways. But truly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. The amount of joy that I get from being able to live as the truest version of myself and connecting with other people having a similar experience is incredible. Like that joy is more powerful than any kind of legislation that can be passed. So once again, thank you so much for having me on. And I think that's about all I got.
Get the Hall of Fame. I assume that's a safe time call. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get the time call on that. Yeah. All of our goats here. What a wonderful team to have for the Elite Four.
And our goat Breloom.
That's our goat.
Oh no, thank you so much for giving. Truly, I am so glad to have been able to platform this sort of game, this sort of challenge run. Obviously, my heart cosigns everything. Everything you said so eloquently about being trans right now and finding your people, finding our people. And on top of that, I am so grateful that you could be a part of Sicko Sunday, because seeing people in chat be like, this is not the Pokemon I played as a kid, is everything to me. With that, cheers in the chat one more time for Forgiven and for Breloom and the other 5 team members. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Sicko Sunday is rolling full steam ahead. We will be moving from Kaizo Pokemon into a more classical Kaizo. When we come back, it's going to be some Super Mario World Kaizo. So get up, stretch, get some water, pet a small animal near you if that's an option available to you, and I will see you in a few minutes.